So if you're unhappy with last night's election results, which is everyone but Trump supporters, I see you have 4 options of where to go from here. The first thing you can do is continue your present level of political engagement, which for the vast majority of Americans is virtually nothing. Show up to vote once in a while and trust that the Democratic Party leadership will figure it out and give you a better option next time and run a better campaign next time. That's option 1. Option 2, you can try to fix the Democratic Party. I spent most of my adult political activism life trying to do that. Good luck. I'll give you some ideas in a moment of how it might be accomplished, but that's option 2, try to fix the Democratic Party. Option 3, you can work really hard between now and the next midterm election to try to build third party power, whether it's the Socialists, or the Greens, or some new party that has yet to be formed. You can devote all your energy to getting ready for the next cycle of elections with a third party. And number 4, you can try to build power outside of the electoral system because you think the electoral system is completely fucked, and start building power outside the state. Like me personally, I'm attracted to both options 3 and 4. I've given up on 2, I have to say. I have. I think there's, merits to options 3 and 4. But I really think to be effective, we are limited people. We have limited time and resource and energy. You should probably pick one of those 3 strategies if you want to see change. Strategy 1 is not a strategy, and I don't think it's going to get you anywhere. So let's talk about how you might fix the Democratic Party. You have 1 year until the selections start being made for who are going to be the midterm candidates, right? And so you need to start organizing now and bullying Democratic Party leadership now to force the leftward progressive wave that you wanted to see happen. Because clearly, trying to run as Republicans on genocide and xenophobia and fascism and lethal militaries isn't going to work for the Democrats. Democrats used to at least promise social reforms, right? Even Biden promised student debt cancellation, right? Kamala Harris promised nothing material to the people, but to protect those rights that had already been vastly eroded over the last 8 years. She didn't promise healthcare. She didn't promise education. She didn't promise debt cancellation, none of that. So if you want to fix the Democratic Party and if you want them to stand a chance of winning, they have to actually stand for something that the Republicans aren't offering. So you need to start pressuring Democratic politicians. I'll tell you a story. In 2016, or maybe I think it was early 2017, the DCCC, which is the Democratic Campaign Chair Committee, something like that, they met in Houston. I was a socialist back then. I was working with DSA, and 6 DSA comrades and me showed up to this DCCC chair meeting in Houston. And we were the only civilians there. By the way, this is the committee that picks who's going to be candidates for the next election and sets the strategy for the Democratic electoral campaigns. And it was all suit-wearing party machine politicians, and then us, 6 of us. And we were trying to push for a more progressive candidate, and the right-wing, essentially, candidate was the one who won. There was no one else there to speak for progressivism at that meeting. Those are the kinds of meetings y'all need to start crashing in numbers, in mass. Instead of a pink pussy hat parade to protest Trump in DC, who isn't going to give a fuck, throw a pink pussy hat parade to crash the Democratic congressional offices. Yell at your own party, the people that are supposed to represent you, and be like, why the fuck were you supporting genocide? Why aren't you offering us healthcare and education and childcare and all these things anymore? What the hell happened to our platform? Get your people. Focus on that. Or run yourself. You want to fix the party from within, become a progressive candidate within the Democratic Party. Run a primary. Best of luck to you. Option 3, building third party power. Obviously the Greens got way more votes last night than the Socialists or Cornel West. So I think if you're trying to hit the 2026 midterms and run a bunch of local elections, the Green Party has a much larger platform of which to start from, and more infrastructure. But, if you feel strongly pulled toward the Socialists, you could do that too. I'd love to see all those third party options coalesce in this moment into one thing, into one option outside of Democrats, that will force it to work in unison the way they did at the end with vote sharing. Would love to see a joint strategy of all those parties combining going into the next midterm cycle to win some local elections and start building real power to the left of the Democrats, which will force the Democrats to move left. Maybe. I don't know. See, the thing is, money in U.S. politics just speaks so much louder than any of us can shout. And so that's why you may embrace option 4, which is building power completely outside of electoral processes. What does that look like? Well, it means you have to join a group. You need to be with other people who also want to build power outside of the state. Joining some kind of group working in the Free Palestine resistance movement is a great place to start. There may be organizations of communists or anarchists in your area. Start to learn about those politics if you're not clear on them, and go with that. There's Food Not Bombs. There's groups like mutual aid groups that are just feeding people without means testing, that are bail fund raising groups that are just freeing people from jail, no questions asked. These are ways that we take care of each other and support each other outside the state. Because every year that passes of my life, the state is taking care of us less and less and less and less. And now, again, the Democrats are promising even more that the state is going to take care of us even less and less and less. And as climate change accelerates and there's more and more natural disasters, it's more important than ever that we're interconnected and we're taking care of each other. And I do believe a revolutionary politics springs from mutual aid. So that's a place to start. Education is so crucial. 138 million people last night voted for fascism because they've been indoctrinated all their lives with extremely right-wing propaganda and they don't even realize it. So educating yourself about liberatory politics, reading left-wing thinkers and artists, and then spreading that education, right? Doing the kinds of things that I'm trying to do on this channel. Building spaces, building places that left-wing groups can meet. Building power outside the state requires locations where you can gather, and that requires money, that requires fundraising, places where you can do community education, community resource sharing. So identifying those resources in your community and kind of gathering them together, you know what I mean? And then there's activities that we don't talk about on TikTok. But if you're looking for those things also exist. But those things don't have a chance in hell of succeeding, I think, without massive liberatory education and class consciousness. I mean, the vast majority of the work right now, I think, building power outside the state is in education and shifting people's mindsets and shifting people's class consciousness. Do I regret my vote? Absolutely not. I told y'all Texas was not even remotely a swing state. That's just how it is. And even if it had been a swing state, I would never, ever, ever have cast a vote for genocide. That's just me. Take all the anger, Democrats, that you want to yell at me and other third-party voters and Palestinians and Arab Americans and direct that anger at a Democratic Party that has completely sold out your interests to corporations and billionaires. Take that anger and direct it at them. They fucked up. They lost this race that was so theirs to win. We have a handful more relatively normal years before the wheels coming off this global climate system are just gonna make shit really, really weird. Crisis, and by weird I mean catastrophically violent and destructive. You're gonna need community. That's my advice to you. Whatever you do, whether it's with Democrats or Greens or socialists or your local anarchist vegan food co-op, find a community because hell is coming. And I don't mean Trump. I mean climate change. Climate change is going to be so much worse for you than Trump, okay? So much worse. This week, if you donate at least $5 to Allah, you can enter to win a signed first edition author's copy of my book, The Free People's Village. It's a very left-wing anarchist sci-fi novel. And send screenshot of receipt to t4gaza@gmail.com. That's the letter T, the number 4gaza@gmail.com.